You're lying in bed. The lights are off. You should be sleeping, but you're not. You're somewhere else entirely. You're having a conversation that never happened, winning an argument from 3 years ago, rehearsing a speech you'll never give, living a life that doesn't exist. You play out the scenario where your crush finally notices you, where your boss finally admits you were right, where everyone who ever ignored you is watching and finally understanding what they lost. And then you snap back. The ceiling is still the ceiling, the room is still quiet, and there's this strange feeling, half relief, half grief. Because for a few seconds, the fake world felt more real than this one. You do this in the shower, on your commute, sitting in class while your body is present, but your mind is running an entire movie. And somewhere along the way, you started wondering, is something wrong with me? Here's the answer. No. What you're experiencing has a name. It has neuroscience behind it. It has psychology behind it. And this is the part nobody talks about. It probably has a root that goes back further than you think. Subscribe to Thinking Ground if you want to understand your mind, not judge it. You're not just daydreaming, not in the casual way people mean when they say they drifted off for a second. You're constructing full realities, elaborate, emotional, detailed, narratives with characters you know, and some you invented, scenarios where you're heard, seen, finally understood, or scenarios where everything falls apart and you're bracing for impact, maladaptive daydreaming. And the word maladaptive matters. It means the behavior has a function, it's trying to help you, but it's interfering with your life in the process. Here's the framework before we go deeper. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's constantly asking, what happens next? How do I respond? What could go wrong? When you imagine fake scenarios, you're not escaping reality. Your brain is running simulations, the same way a pilot trains in a flight simulator before touching a real aircraft. The problem isn't the simulation. It's when the simulation starts to feel safer than the real flight. There's a network in your brain called the default mode network. It activates when you're not focused on the outside world, when you're just thinking, resting, letting your mind wander. For most people, the default mode network is a low hum, background noise. But for some people, maybe you, it's a full orchestra. It doesn't just wander, it builds. When your default mode network is hyperactive, your brain doesn't produce simple daydreams. It produces feature-length films, characters, dialogue, emotional arcs that feel as vivid as actual memories. Now here's what's surprising. Your brain rewards this. Think about the last time you imagined your crush liking you back, or becoming wildly successful, or finally saying the perfect thing. Nothing actually happened, yet it felt good. That's dopamine. Your brain releases dopamine not only when you get a reward, but when you anticipate one. The daydream gives you a preview of an emotion your brain craves. It's like watching the trailer for a movie that doesn't exist yet. For a few moments, the reward feels real. This is the dopamine preview effect, and it's why a 5-minute daydream can feel more satisfying than an hour of real work. The imaginary reward is instant. The real one requires effort, risk, discomfort. Your brain, given the choice between easy dopamine and hard dopamine, will choose easy every time. That's not weakness, that's biology. But the dopamine piece only explains the addiction. It doesn't explain why you started in the first place. For that, we have to go back. Most people who engage in intense maladaptive daydreaming didn't start as adults. They started as children. And they didn't start because they were bored. They started because the outer world wasn't meeting a need the inner one could. Let me ask you something. When you were a child, did you feel heard? Did you feel like the adults around you understood what you were feeling? Or did you learn, early on, that your emotions were too much, too big, or too inconvenient for the people around you? Here's what the research shows. Children who grow up in environments where emotional expression isn't safe, whether that's due to neglect, emotional unavailability, or simply being different from the people around them, develop a coping mechanism. They go inward. Because inside your head, you're not too much. Inside your head, you can be understood. You can be loved the way you needed to be loved. You can be seen. This connects to something called the Zeigarnik effect, a psychological phenomenon where unfinished experiences occupy more mental space than finished ones. An unanswered need, a conversation that never happened, a childhood where you never got to say what you were actually feeling. Your brain treats these like open tabs, and when reality won't close them, your imagination does. The lonely child imagines connection. The ignored child imagines appreciation. The hurt child imagines finally getting the apology they deserved. You didn't develop this because something was wrong with you. You developed it because something was missing around you. And your brain, brilliant, adaptive, survival-oriented, built a world where you could finally get what the outer one refused to give you. So let's name what your daydreams are actually doing for you, because they're not random. Every scenario you create serves one or more of these 5 hidden functions. 1. Closure processing. Your brain hates unfinished stories. That argument from 2 years ago where you didn't say the right thing, your mind keeps replaying it because the loop was never closed. The daydream gives it an ending. 2. Emotional rehearsal. You're not avoiding a difficult conversation by imagining it, you're preparing for it. Your brain is running the simulation so you'll be ready if the moment ever comes. This is adaptive, not dysfunctional. 3. Agency restoration. In your real life, you can't control how people treat you. You can't rewind mistakes, but in your mind, you're the director. You get to say the perfect thing, you get to be understood, you get to win. Especially if you've spent much of your life feeling powerless. This function is survival, not fantasy. 4. Threat simulation. Some of your scenarios are dark, disasters, losses, rejection. Your brain is running worst-case scenarios to prepare you. This is an evolutionary mechanism. Humans who imagine threats survive them better. Your anxiety is trying to protect you, not destroy you. 5. Identity construction. You're not just imagining random events. You're imagining versions of yourself. The confident version, the love version, the version who finally speaks up. These scenarios are your brain asking, who could I become?
So you see, daydreaming serves many functions.
But here's where the tool becomes a trap. You rehearse the conversation so many times, you never actually have it. You imagine the success so vividly, the real work feels less urgent. You replay the hurt so often, you stay stuck in it. The tool that was meant to prepare you starts to replace you. And there's a cost you might not have noticed. You get angry at people for things they only did in your head. You feel disappointed when real life doesn't match the script you wrote. And it never does, because real life is unscripted. Slowly, the gap between your inner world and outer world widens. You become more comfortable in the daydreams than in reality. Not because reality is terrible, but because reality is uncertain, messy. You can't edit it. You can't rewind. You can't control the dialogue. And your brain, for all its brilliance, struggles deeply with uncertainty. This isn't a moral failing. It's not laziness. It's a nervous system that learned, probably very early, that the imaginary world was safer than the real one. And safety is the most addictive thing your brain can offer you. So what do you do about this? Not how do you stop, because shaming yourself out of a coping mechanism never works. The question is, how do you turn this from a trap into a tool? 1. Externalize it. When you catch yourself in a scenario, write it down. Not to analyze it to death, just to get it out of the loop. Your brain keeps running the simulation because it thinks the data is still inside. Once it's on paper, the loop can close. Psychologists call this expressive writing. It works. 2. Name the need. Every scenario is trying to give you something. Ask yourself, what emotion is this daydream delivering? Connection, appreciation, safety, control? The daydream is a symptom. The unmet need is the cause. You can't solve a symptom. 3. Set a boundary, not a ban. You don't need to eliminate the scenarios. Contain them. Give yourself 10 minutes. Set a timer. When it goes off, return to the present. This trains your brain that the daydream is a place you can visit, not a place you live. 4. Ground yourself gently. When you notice you've drifted, don't snap at yourself. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath. Look at something real. This activates your sensory cortex and pulls you out of the default mode network. It reminds your brain, this moment, this body, this life. 5. Channel it into creation. The same imagination that builds elaborate daydreams can build art, writing, videos, music, content. Some of the most creative people in history were maladaptive daydreamers. They just learned to point the imagination outward instead of inward. Your mind isn't broken. It's a creative engine that was aimed at the wrong target. Carl Jung believed something most modern psychology forgot. He believed the unconscious mind doesn't communicate in logic. It communicates in images, stories, symbols. The things that appear in your daydreams, the characters, the dramas, the recurring themes. They're not noise, they're a language. Your inner world isn't a malfunction, it's a message. The question isn't, how do I stop daydreaming? The question is, what is my mind trying to tell me? What need am I meeting? What part of myself is asking to be seen? Jung called this integration, bringing the unconscious into consciousness, not to destroy it, but to understand it, to let it inform your life instead of replacing it. Your daydreams showed you what you needed when reality couldn't provide it. They protected you. They gave you agency when you had none. They gave you comfort when the outer world was cold. But you're not that child anymore. The door you were waiting at, it's open now. Not because someone finally came, but because you can open it yourself. If you create imaginary scenarios in your head, elaborate, emotional, consuming, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not broken. You're not wasting your life. You're not avoiding reality because you're weak. You developed an extraordinary coping mechanism in an environment that didn't meet your emotional needs. Your brain built a world where you could finally be understood. And that same brain, creative, resilient, deeply feeling, is the one that's going to build your real life too. Your imagination was never the enemy. It was the first tool you ever had. Now you get to decide how to use it. I'm curious, which of the 5 hidden functions resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments. And if this helped you understand yourself a little better, subscribe and hit the bell. You're exactly where you belong.